Hi, my name is Donovan Decker. I'm here to talk about sustainable energy in foreign countries. Specifically, I'll be talking about Zimbabwe and their energy production, allocation, and developing technologies in sustainable energy. In 2012, Zimbabwe produced 44,000 barrels of oil, 3.3 million short tons of coal, and 7.81 billion kilowatt hours of electricity. It should be noted that Zimbabwe has negligible to no natural gas production per year. Wood is the most used domestic fuel in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe produces this wood from their own forests, cutting costs on importing and creating jobs. However, there has been consequences such as deforestation and a decrease in wildlife. Zimbabwe's main electrical supplier is ZESA, Zimbabwe Electric Supply Authority. They generate, transmit, and distribute electricity throughout Zimbabwe. ZESA has one hydroelectric power station and 4 thermal power stations. While some small amounts of coal is mined in Zimbabwe, it is not distributed directly, but rather used in their thermal stations. However, they also import coal because they currently do not produce enough. The electricity is distributed to select cities and trickles down from there. Due to the current government in Zimbabwe, the energy distribution is unfair. The major cities are priority, then their suburbs, and so on. Also, you can have electricity for several hours and it can just randomly be shut off. Many Zimbabweans have turned to fuel wood. However, you need special licensing to burn it. Zimbabwe's most predictable renewable energy investment lies with hydroelectric power. However, the government has been pushing to make renewable energy their primary source by 2030, a very ambitious venture. The most feasible form of renewable energy for Zimbabwe is found in hydroelectricity. A study carried out in 1988 shows that Zimbabwe has the potential for 3.3 megawatt hours of electricity from various watershed locations throughout the country. However, a study published by the University of Zimbabwe details possible ventures for renewable resources. Solar energy seems to be the most favorable renewable resource in Zimbabwe. It is estimated that Zimbabwe can capture over 2,000 kilowatt hour per meter squared. This will only support a small fraction of total electric used, but still remains a good choice for domestic heating. Even though Zimbabwe claims to be a democracy, it is largely run as a dictatorship. This has led to many problems when investigating their energy goals online. Zimbabwe's government site seems to have problems, and the connecting links to the policies page do not lead to any page at all. However, it seems that their current goals are the setting up of an energy regulator to harmonize regulation in the energy sector as a whole. As I have said, Zimbabwe's main source of domestic fuel is firewood. This wood allows them to cook, clean, and stay warm during the colder nights. However, the increasing demand for firewood has led the country to think seriously about deforestation and their own survival. While deforestation still continues, there is simply not enough wood to keep up with demand. Also, you need a government license to use fuel wood, so people turn to other fuel sources. Again, these fuel sources are unreliable and unpredictable. So as the country grows, the government cannot keep up with the energy demands. This leads to more infectious diseases. This is because food cannot be cooked properly and thoroughly, and the conditions in which they live are extremely filthy, and they simply cannot keep warm at night, overall leading to a negative effect on their life. Economics also can play a very large role in energy and the quality of life in Zimbabwe. For fuel sources that Zimbabwe uses that they cannot produce, they have to import from a foreign country. One current source of frustration comes from the 1,000 megawatts they import from neighboring Mozambique, South Africa, and Democratic Republic of Congo. This has led to Zimbabwe being in debt of $90 million between these countries. But if this was not enough, ZESA ran up a bill of $1 billion in unpaid debts in other projects and investments. This then turns into a case of passing on the buck. These debts went directly to the people of Zimbabwe. ZESA started to just pull electricity from homes who are in debt, even if they are on a scheduled payment plan. Without electricity, it would be hard for these residents, in houses run by electricity, to function. So now, the financial burden of poor planning lays on the people of Zimbabwe. They either pay with their money, or they pay with the loss of their electricity. The best domestic source of energy to invest in would be found in solar energy, so looking more in depth into strides in solar power would be most beneficial to Zimbabwe. There has been a breaking discovery in solar energy in just the last few months. The newest solar panel would be made with such a material that would make it cheaper and more efficient. This new type of ceramic is one of the first to harness the energy from the visible and infrared light spectrum, not just the UV spectrum. Zimbabwe could truly benefit from this technology. While through the years there have been a couple of ideas for sustainable energy, most of these get shot down. Two of the biggest investments in energy come in the form of hydroelectric and solar energy. While there is more domestic potential in solar energy, Zimbabwe seems to be investing more into hydroelectricity. This might be because it is easier for them to split costs with another country on paying for the construction of a plant. This was seen in the proposed plant shared between Zambia and Zimbabwe. However, this has led to more problems than solutions. What it boils down to is a lack of funds to really push forward with any renewable resource. The limited funds of the country would lead to a financial loss on any project that would need to be put together in order for there to be a more sustainable energy source. So this makes you think that expanding current sources would be your best bet. However, that as well is proven to be difficult. What is needed is external help. I think honestly it starts with politics. There first needs to be a change in governmental powers or a change in the current leaders' policies. Only then will they be able to get on board with developing technologies. After that, I would invest in hydroelectricity, as it seems to be their best bet in creating energy in a renewable form. I'd first partner with other countries nearby and try to contract deals that would allow for a percentage of the energy based on how much we each go in. After a few years, you would start to look internally. You would have to set up your own hydroelectric plants within the borders of your own country. These plants would then be close to the metropolitan areas, as there is a loss in energy versus distance traveled. There would be a few problems with my plan. First, the government of Zimbabwe would most likely not agree to these changes. That aside, they are already in debt with bordering countries concerning hydroelectric plants, and making more requests would just be unreasonable. And even with taking full advantage of their watershed, it is still not enough power for the whole country. Energy is a difficult thing to produce renewably. We in the United States take for granted the energy we receive on a daily basis. While over the years there have been improvements in sustainable energy, most of these have been rejected by Zimbabwe. There are several factors for this. The government is not known for being the most truthful or responsible, and even if the government wasn't a dictatorship, the people of Zimbabwe simply cannot afford energy in any form. I learned that electricity and fuel wood seems to be the most dominant source of domestic consumption, while consumption of coal is used primarily to produce that electricity. It is an interesting cycle when you understand how it works. When you see that the energy we live on comes from the burning of coal, it really puts into perspective how much we need to focus on more renewable resources for energy. This does not just apply to the US or Zimbabwe, this applies to the world. These are some of the sources that I used for my project. I'll be listing these sources in the description below. Thank you.